Just a short while ago, Disney and Lucasfilm released the first trailer for a brand new Star Wars anime series, The Ninth Jedi, debuting this year beginning on August 5th on Disney Plus and Hulu. Both of the Ninth Jedi short films from Star Wars Visions were massive fan favorites, and a lot of people were really hoping for an entire Ninth Jedi series, and it looks like our wishes have finally come true. So in this video, we're going to be going over all the details, talking about what we see in the trailer, returning characters, new characters, and also some speculation on a huge question fans have, which is if this new Ninth Jedi series is considered canon within the Star Wars timeline or not. There's a lot to go over, so let's dive right in. First off, I just want to say that the animation looks absolutely stunning, which can be owed to the series anime studio Production I.G, a studio that needs no introduction on my channel. They're responsible for both Ninth Jedi anthology episodes from Visions Volume 1 and 3, and of course the legendary studio behind the original Ghost in the Shell films as well, among many other popular works. And Kenji Kamiyama is directing the series. Yes, that Kenji Kamiyama, who wrote and directed Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, and even the Blade Runner anime Black Lotus a few years ago. From those series alone, plus his work on Pat Labor, Kamiyama is one of my favorite creatives in the anime space, so having him get a shot at making an entire series set within the Star Wars universe is pretty much a dream come true for me. And it also seems to be for him, as it's been revealed that Kamiyama himself is a lifelong Star Wars fan and has always wanted to work on a Star Wars project one day. The story of the Ninth Jedi takes place several generations after the events of the Skywalker saga. It's a time where the notions of Jedi and Sith have long faded away, and a new period of war has broken out across the galaxy, pushing it into a place in the timeline that hasn't really been explored at all in canon so far. We follow the story of Kara, a young Force sensitive whose father, Jima, is the last known sabersmith in the galaxy. In the Ninth Jedi's pilot episode from 2021, we see that their family's home was raided by a group known as Jedi Hunters, who captured Jima, and Kara was forced to make an escape. Now, Kara has teamed up with other Jedi characters to travel the galaxy in hopes of rekindling the Jedi Order and finding her father again. While previous Ninth Jedi short films have largely remained focused on telling the personal story of our protagonist Kara, it seems like in this series the stakes are even bigger, with hints at a large-scale galactic conflict brewing and a big confrontation between the light side and the dark side erupting once again. And in this trailer, we do see some returning faces from the first two Ninth Jedi short films, including Margrave Juro, one of my absolute favorite characters, and two other Jedi, Homan and Ethan, who Kara met in the pilot episode. Kara's droid companion 49s also makes an appearance again, which I'm happy to see, as well as that boatman droid from the first Ninth Jedi episode, and it does look like Kara's father, Lajima, is confirmed to be in the show as well, presumably still captured by the Jedi Hunter group. We also get our first look at the series' main antagonist, someone named General Nawaam, who, with that all-black armor and mask, is definitely giving off Darth Vader, Kylo Ren vibes. It appears that he is possibly in league with the Jedi Hunters and is planning on using the Kyber crystals to create a weapon. Now, I would call Nawaam a Sith, but as we see in the trailer, he is seen using a blue lightsaber, meaning it is very possible he was or still is a Jedi himself and not totally committed to the dark side, at least in our traditional understanding of things. Kara's positioning here in the Ninth Jedi is very much following in the footsteps of characters like Luke Skywalker and Rey, characters tasked with restarting the Jedi Order amidst a growing galactic war. And I'm really looking forward to see how Kara evolves as a character, starting off as someone who knew very little about the Force, but put on a path that put her at the center of a bigger destiny involving the whole fate of the Jedi Order. So the story here does feel pretty familiar. A masked, dark side adjacent user starting a war across the galaxy, and utilizing Kyber crystals to create a massive weapon of some kind, and a young Jedi must rise to the challenge to defeat them.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
I mean, considering that this has been a plot device used extensively in both the original trilogy and the sequels, it's going to be interesting to see how the Ninth Jedi iterates on or reimagines these plot points in new ways. Visions always knocks it out of the park in terms of new character, vehicle, and droid designs, and the Ninth Jedi series here seems to be no exception. The animation looks stunning, and I really like the look of the droids and vehicles introduced here. Again, different, but also fitting well into the Star Wars visual language. I also want to call out this particular ship here, because is it just me, or does this starship look kind of like a big evil version of White Base from Gundam? One of the most important elements of the Ninth Jedi story is in the ways lightsabers behave. The lightsabers that Lajima constructs aren't your typical lightsabers, as they all start off as kind of this dull gray color, and from there their color changes depending on the allegiance and personality of its user. So the same lightsaber could be blue in someone's hands, but change to red if wielded by a dark side user or that person turns evil, and then switch back to blue or to any other color again. This is a really interesting twist on the mechanics of lightsabers, something that actually came from a misconception made by director Kenji Kamiyama when he first watched Star Wars, as he mistakenly believed that's how all lightsabers worked. But he's taken that mistake and turned it into an actual story element here in the Ninth Jedi, which is fascinating. Now, a huge question that's on a lot of people's minds is this new series, is the Ninth Jedi canon to the Star Wars universe? Well, strictly speaking, everything that's been created under the Star Wars Visions umbrella has historically not been considered canon, and that includes the anime anthologies and the various manga. But myself and a lot of other fans have looked at certain Visions projects and realized that there are many stories that could easily fit into the pre-existing canon pretty easily. The Ninth Jedi is the best example, because again, it takes place so far ahead in the timeline that we really don't have any conception of what the galaxy looks like at that point right now. And I know some people might look at Lajima's color-changing lightsabers as sort of a clear sign that the Ninth Jedi can't be canon. But we did just have the Acolyte series, which did depict a lightsaber changing from blue to red in real time, as part of the Kyber crystal bleeding process. And that process is certainly not exactly what's going on here in the Ninth Jedi, because all of the lightsabers start out as like a faded gray color, only to then change colors multiple times based on whoever's wielding it at that current moment. And personally, I think that in the intervening years, it's entirely possible that new lightsaber smithing techniques could have been developed to reflect this change, or perhaps really ancient techniques are now being used once again. If we go back to some interviews director Kamiyama gave when Visions Volume 1 came out, he stated that he created the Ninth Jedi with the intention that it could seamlessly connect into the larger Star Wars canon, or at least the canon according to him. Now, this wasn't something that was required of all Visions showrunners. In fact, quite the opposite. Disney created the Visions brand to not only show off the talent of different animation studios around the world, but also gave them free reign to create any kind of Star Wars story they wanted, even if it didn't neatly fit into pre-existing Star Wars lore. However, it seems that Kamiyama always envisioned the Ninth Jedi as a canon story from the very beginning, and that is something I really admire, and also something worth considering when we try to determine if the Ninth Jedi is canon or not. Again, the canonicity of the Ninth Jedi is really complete speculation at this point. The fact that this new series is still under the Visions branding might indicate that it isn't intended to be canon. But of course, the director himself has stated that he imagines it as canon, but no official word has come out either way on the matter. And ultimately, the canon status of the Ninth Jedi doesn't really matter. A piece of media doesn't need to be canon for it to be enjoyable. I know Gundam fans know that all too well. But my point is that I think the concepts and world building developed in the Ninth Jedi are so compelling and fascinating that it should deserve a seat at the table. But I'm curious, let me know in the comments if you think the Ninth Jedi could be or should be considered canon. It's a big topic in the community right now, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Lucasfilm has an amazing opportunity with this show to really push the envelope in terms of animation and storytelling within Star Wars, but also taking us to a new place in the timeline that is yet to be explored. And if the Ninth Jedi does well, there's a good chance we could see other Star Wars anime projects down the line. I think a series like the Ninth Jedi is exactly what the Star Wars brand needs right now. Something fresh and unique that can really reignite a lot of interest among fans, and even bring in new fans who may not know Star Wars very well, but enjoy other anime series from Production I.G. The Ninth Jedi as a show is pretty much all of my exact interests overlapping. An anime set in the Star Wars universe, created by one of the most legendary anime studios, Production I.G, and written and directed by the guy who created one of my favorite anime series ever, Standalone Complex. So to think that we're getting our first full official serialized Star Wars anime series this year with this creative team behind it is just blowing my mind. Like, no joke, that first Ninth Jedi episode from Volume 1 is still one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media ever. It really left an impression on me and clearly a lot of other fans, and all these years later, I can't believe we're getting an entire series based off of it. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more Ninth Jedi updates. If you're a fan of sci-fi anime and Star Wars, you're in luck because that's exactly what I cover here on my channel. So be sure to go check out my other videos going over some other amazing anime coming out this year, like Ghost in the Shell and Cyberpunk Edge Runner Season 2. And let me know in the comments your thoughts on this trailer and your take on our very first full Star Wars anime series. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.